Bluff City Media presents Tigers Live with Francis Carlota. Join Francis after every Memphis Tiger game as he breaks down each matchup, player of the game, and upcoming games. Now, let's get to the show.
Welcome to Tigers Live with Francis Carlota. I am not Francis Carlota, as you can tell. He's got stuff to do today, so I am filling in. I'm Mark. I'll be with you today. I got Roman. I got Paris Sharkey with me today. Both those guys, great content. Both very knowledgeable about the Tigers. The Tigers win 90-78 over Tulane today. Much probably what we would think that this Tigers team probably should have done the last time they played Tulane, and they tried every bit to give it away at the end there. They wanted to give it away, but they just couldn't. They were up by 20 most of the game. Really not a game that much today, but still lots to talk about. Let's go ahead and get Roman in here. He just hopped in the back end, so let me get this or we can get him in here. Roman, what's going on, man? How are you?
Good afternoon, Mark. How are you doing yourself? I'm doing well.
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Tigers, you're down at the forum. Obviously, Tigers, 90-70. I don't want to keep it too long because I know you got stuff to do. You got a post-game stuff to do. You've got stuff to write. So, but first impressions on the game today.
Well, obviously, you like the effort a lot more than you have over the past month. I mean, they were just swarming Tulane on the defensive end of the court to start out. Really, throughout the entire first half, they come up with 9 steals. Javon Quinterly, Jaquan Walton, and David Jones, they each combined for 6. Each had 2 of them. I mean, Tulane, I think they shot, 42% from three-point range. Today, I think that was down to closer to 30% this afternoon. So I think effort and just better defense overall is the biggest takeaway there. They were also very unselfish, had 12 assists in the first half and finished the game with 20. I believe Walton had 4, Jones had 4, and Quinterly finished with 5. So you wanted, those kinds of numbers from what I think you would consider to be Memphis's big 3 at this point, and you got them here today.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, a lot of your main guys played well today because they had 23 for David Jones, 18 for Javon Quinterly, both really, really well, all from beyond the arc as well. 4 for 5 for David and 4 for 7 for Javon. Just really impressive from those guys. And you got you got a little bit from everybody today. I think everybody, like you mentioned, on defense, they were all over the place. I mean, Tulane really didn't have a lot of room to operate. Most importantly,
they looked gassed. They
yes,
really did. And that press matchup zone sort of defense that Memphis was playing, it really overwhelmed them for sure.
Yeah, I mean, even when they started it, I think it was like 18-6 when they started that game on a huge run. I mean, it was really never a question about this game in terms of would the Tigers be able to get it done. And I will say this, as you know, winning cures all. Penny only plays 9 guys today, which I think something we've had a lot of conversation around and on this show, on every show, probably here in Memphis, but something you probably like to see.
Yeah, wasn't one of those Noah Stansbury at the end of the game? I believe one of those was Noah, right?
I think he was the 10th guy to check in.
All right,
at the very end, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean,
he only played 9 actual players.
Yeah, I mean, they stuck with 8 for most of it. I mean, the 3 main guys you had off the bench were Malco, Pierre, and actually Jordan Brown, who played better than I think anyone really would have expected. He still had his problems for sure, but he gave Memphis really good, crucial points in the paint when they needed them. And I think you got to give credit for that.
I thought that was something I did want to mention, that having that kind of size on the court was really impressive. And you saw them go down to the post and really just almost like a post matchup, post move when he was in the game. Something you think they should do more of or no?
I mean, if Jordan Brown's going to give you that kind of production, I mean, 6 to 8 points off the bench, that is valuable here in college basketball. I mean, there's a lot of baggage associated with him, obviously, but I think Memphis just has to stick with what works right now. I think that's how this whole situation with the bubble gets fixed. If that's Jordan Brown, great. If it's Jonathan Pierre, great. If it's Jalen Young, so be it. I mean, you just have to stick with what works. And I think that's what Memphis has been doing lately, and that's why they've won 3 in a row here.
I mean, yeah, it definitely it never hurts when your main guys play well. When your main guys shoot the ball as well as they did, like in what we mentioned, 8 for 12 from overall from David Jones. That's about as like you're probably as good as you're going to get from David Jones. That's as efficient as you're going to get from David Jones. And when he plays like that, I think especially another double for him. I don't think that's maybe his like 5th on the year. You'd probably know better than I would, but another double for him, 23 points, 10 rebounds, 8 for 12 shooting. That's the efficient you're going to get from David Jones.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's your number one guy, and he was really everywhere today. Yep, 23 points, that's right, 10 boards. Had a few steals in there, as I mentioned earlier, 4 assists. His playmaking's gotten a lot better lately. He was averaging like under 2 assists a game for most of the season, and I believe he got 3 against Temple, and he got 4 here today. So, I mean, if you can get more versatile play out of your number one guy, that's only going to make things better.
Last question, and I'll get you out of here. I know you got stuff to go to. You got a press conference to get to with Penny and some other stuff. What does this Tigers team need to continue to do to continue to win on this season and make the postseason?
Well, I think today really provided the blueprint. You don't need to be perfect defensively because first off, you just don't have the type of perimeter defenders to be an elite defensive team. You don't have the guys to be a Houston or something like that. But if you can be opportunistic, if you can create takeaways like they were able to do here today, that's going to create, a recipe for success because this team is good enough offensively, I believe, to stick with anybody when they're on. So it's really about effort, energy, and consistency on both ends. This Memphis team is talented enough to take itself as far as it wants to go. It just has to be locked in, has to be bought in into whatever it is they're doing. It's about coaching and the players being on the same page. I know this is a lot of coach speak and a lot of generic talk, but I really think it's as simple as that. I mean, this Memphis team does not have a talent issue. It's not deficient in its ability. It's all about how much it wants it and whether or not it's going to execute.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think again, I'm with you. It is a lot of coach speak, but it's a lot of the truth though, right? I mean, that's the reality of the situation is that, yes, it sounds very generic sometimes, but a lot of the times, especially in basketball, especially in college basketball, doing the simple stuff really well, quote unquote, Josh Pastner doing the simple stuff really well is what wins you games in college basketball. And a lot of times that's just very difficult to do for these young kids on a consistent basis.
Yeah. To quote Mike Tomlin, do the routine things routinely.
Exactly.
I think that's a good motto for this Memphis team.
Absolutely. Well, Roman, I appreciate you stopping by. Get to your stuff. We're going to get to a break. On the other side of the break, we got Pear Sharkey. He's going to join us, and we will talk to you guys in just a moment.
I mean, I'm being dead serious. It's nothing against the guy.
I know you are. That's why it sucks.
I'm asking a legit question because he can't stay injury-free. I don't know if it, maybe an offseason helps.
Magic 8 ball. All signs point to yes.
Sheesh. That's the sad part of it, too.
It's, again, like, I know a lot of people want him to do the Udonis Haslam thing. Like, that's the extent of Derrick Rose at this point. It's
okay.
Like, he still showed, he had a nice move under the basket tonight, but it's, man, like, he's always hurt for a reason, dude. His body's just, it doesn't have it, right? And if he can fit into Udonis Haslam type role where he's just the bench guy and the vet for the team, then that's awesome.
Tune in to the Grizz 901 postgame show, live after every Grizzlies game on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Memphis basketball. The Bluff City Collective was founded with the sole purpose of helping Memphis basketball continue its long and storied tradition of excellence. The Bluff City Collective will help ensure, as we move further into the new era of college athletics, that we continue to recruit with the best programs in the country. Basketball in Memphis is special. A huge part of what makes it so special is you, Tiger Nation. As a former player and now coach who was born and raised in this city, I know that better than anyone. Without your unwavering support, we would not be where we are today. That is why I'm asking all of you to join me in supporting the Bluff City Collective. The city's team needs you. I need you. Please go to bluffcitycollective.com to make a donation or become a member today. The time is now. We are not satisfied with just being good. We want to be great. Let's bring a national championship to Memphis. Go Tigers, go.
Welcome back to the Tigers Live postgame show right here on Bluff City Media. As you saw, this postgame show is always presented by our guys at Bluff City Collective. They are the collective for the men's basketball team. So go donate to Bluff City Collective. Help continue to support this Tigers program. And coming up, they got a merch launch meet and greet with Javon Cornerly Monday, February 12th, 3:30 to 5:30. It's down at the shop Oxbow. It's going to be a great time. Come out, see Javon, meet him, take some pictures, see his new launch for his new merch line. And then you can also, all those merch sales go right back to the Bluff City Collective and support this Tigers team. Just like Penny said, go support Bluff City Collective. They are the men's basketball collective. Paris Sharkey, what's going on, man? How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. How about you, Mark?
I'm awesome, man. It's a great day. Super Bowl Sunday.
Yep.
You know, it's gonna be the Tigers get a W. I mean, you can't ask for much. It's a little dreary. I guess I can ask for better weather. If I'm wishing for stuff,
Right.
ask for better weather if that's the case. But yeah, I think all is well. Your thoughts on the game, just overall. Let's go broad. Just quick thoughts on the game.
Yeah, quick thoughts. Very impressive performance. That's probably the best they played from start to finish, the full 40 minutes since the Virginia game. Low key, I think since conference play, they've had moments like the USF game. They lost, but they were up by 20 at one point, and they blew the lead. Temple, they were up by a lot and gave up a 15-0 run to allow Temple to be right back into the game. So they've had spurts, but like strictly from just 1 to 40 minutes, that's probably the best they played since December. So yes, definitely positive outlook. It kind of reminded me of last year in the conference tournament when they played Tulane, and after losing to them twice during the regular season, they got to the conference tournament. Like I think they beat them by like 30, and just like that was just a very impressive performance. They learned their lesson. They lost to Tulane about 3 weeks ago. Learned their lesson, and yeah, they look really good. Definitely something to be proud of. And you know, now we got the rest of the season. Now it's looking high. Now we're looking forward to the rest of the season for real now.
Yeah, the 4-game losing streak was tough. It was tough to talk about. It was tough to listen to. It's bad for business. You know, this commenter says it's an intensity issue. They don't play hard for 40 minutes. It's hard to disagree with that statement, honestly. Even if you look at the game today, I mean, that last 4 minutes, it was just like, I mean, they knew they had the win, but it was also like let's just get this game over with type of situation. It's hard to disagree with that comment at times, just because the way they play, you see it in spurts for 6, maybe 7 minutes. And then it feels like, it feels less like an intensity issue and feels more like a focus issue. That it almost feels like they will get on runs and they will get up by several points, 15 points we've seen at times, 20 points we've seen at times, and just let teams come back where they just get, I don't want to say bored, but like, it feels like they just like, we're done here. We've gotten it by 20 and the game is over. And it's like, well, we have a whole second half to play. I don't know. What do you think about the intensity or maybe lack thereof?
I think it's playing down to your competition. So it's kind of like what you said, like you get up, then it's like, okay, we got it done. It's still annoying. Like, we still got 20 minutes left. Like the South Florida game is a perfect example. You was up by 20 and I think they were on a 10-game winning streak at the time. And you just let your guard down, then you lose 4 in a row after that. So, but they had that problem since that Virginia game, that Vanderbilt game. Vanderbilt had a game winning 3-pointer at the buzzer that they missed. Memphis won. The UTSA game, UTSA took them to overtime. The game, they had a couple different games. So the Wichita State game, they kind of did well with them. The Tulsa game, they were up by like Tulsa came back, had to hit the game win 3-pointer. So it's just been too many times since that Virginia game that they just pretty much they played the hard teams. They played Virginia, they played Clemson. Now, okay, we playing against a bunch of teams we know we're supposed to beat. Yeah, you really start playing down to your competition after you get a lead.
I mean, it feels like, and you can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong or if it feels different to you, but it feels like this might be the first time this game, which is Tulane game, they just won. This game it feels like this is the first game they have played with a lead like they are like they are like playing with a lead and sticking with it. Like
Yeah.
they didn't really let up at all. And I feel like I can't think of another game. Maybe and there's something in the non-conference play, but I was racking my brain while you were saying that.
Yep.
Kind of going through some of the games as well, and I don't remember a game where they really got a big lead and kind of just didn't really let up and kind of stepped on kept their foot on the gas. And I think even one of the commentators said it on the game today, like they're playing with a lead and they are playing like they have one and not playing like they're coming from behind. It was, as once you're also winning and it's the shots, the rim seems a little bigger, the shots going a little easier. I mean, it's a little, there's no pressure. If you're up by 20, it's a little easier to score the basketball. But I can't think of another game where they played and got a big lead and continued to put the pressure on the other team.
Yeah, that's true because they had even non-conference. They were up at they'd be up by double digits. Then get to the last 3 minutes of the game. Then next thing you know, we missing free throws, doing all type of stuff. That's why I think the only game, and I missed the game because I was on a cruise, but the Virginia game, they won by 23. So I just assumed that they got up big and kind of held on in that one. But I didn't get a chance to see the game, so I don't know if they were up by 30. And Virginia came back down to 16, and they kind of.
It was so long ago, that game.
Yeah.
I want to say that was a game, and guys, if you're listening, please comment, let us know if you remember differently than we do. But I think that game was a pretty close game until the end of the second quarter, and they pulled away at the end. It wasn't like a 20-point lead the whole game. I think it was a pretty close game for the most part, and it stretched out at the end. I think I can't remember exactly so long ago, but yeah, I mean, this is again, like you mentioned, this is probably the best game they played since that game. I can't think of especially in conference play. I can't think of another where they really have played well. I think
Wichita State offensively, the game at Wichita State, they scored like 115, but defensively, offensively, the whole game was like lights out.
Yeah, that Wichita State game was legit. It scored a lot of points. I think that was the last game I did a post game show. Was that game? Because I remember coming on, I was like, wow, that's I can't remember if we watched a college basketball game or not. But yeah, that was a huge offensive game, like you mentioned. But that was just a game. There wasn't a lot of defense at all, just period. And it didn't really matter. So, but yeah, this game specifically, like we talked to Roman, obviously, your starters have big games. What were your thoughts on Jonathan Pierre and Jordan Brown, those guys off the bench? What were your thoughts on those guys today?
They provided solid minutes, and because think about it, they're role players. So you're not expecting them to be stars. You're not expecting them to be David Jones. Not expecting them to be Javon Quinley, but just provide some type of value. I just feel like they play hard. They play within the flow of the offense. Solid defense all around throughout the whole team. It just felt like also shortening their rotation.
Yeah,
about time. And I got to the point where I just kind of gave up on it because Penny been doing it for this is 6 years now. Like he been doing it this whole time there, so I'm not about to complain about that anymore. But for him to finally, it's February now, for him to say, okay, let me play this down to 8-man rotation, 9-man rotation, even. But overall, Jonathan Pierre and Jordan Brown, I feel like they provide really solid minutes for role players.
Yeah, I mean, and this, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, the shortening of the rotation, I was something I did not expect. I mean, I wasn't really keeping track of the rotations like in the game. So I tend to pull up the box score and watch the box score a lot of times as the game is going on. And I pulled it up and I was like, wow, that's, theoretically they really only played like 8 guys. They really, they don't really play, the minutes. They didn't, for some reason, they don't have the minutes on the box score today. I don't know why. And they weren't tracking them. So I don't know why. Cause I was trying to keep track of that today. That was specifically what I was looking for, was how many minutes everybody was playing. So it's with the shortened rotation. You kind of want to see what the minute distribution was. They don't have the box score, so I don't know, but they really effectively played 3 guys off the bench. Was shocking to me, quite frankly. Like you mentioned, Penny just doesn't do that. I mean, and he's a guy Penny's stubborn. Like he's going to do whatever Penny wants to do. And it doesn't matter what we all say, or it doesn't matter what anybody says. Penny's going to do whatever Penny thinks is best. And to see him shorten the rotation, I thought was impressive. I mean, again, it's just like the NBA, a lot of times, it's like any basketball at any level, right? Like, you got to play your best guys.
Yep.
You got to play your best guys. And there's several people on this team that aren't good college basketball players. Like, that's just the reality. Just like you have a 15-man roster on the Grizzlies, 6 of those guys are not the greatest NBA players. They're on the team for injuries and depth and all this other, anything else you want to say, but there are several players on this team that are just not college basketball players. And I don't think it's any consequence or any correlation. It's shocking that you were up by 20 for most of the game and you played your best players and nobody else.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. When you play your best players, you're going to. Cause I like, and Comte said it during the game. I think there was like Memphis got up early, and then Tulane kind of play even the rest of the game. That's what you're supposed to do when you jump out to the big league and play even the rest of the game. And like you said, shorten their rotation. That definitely helps there because of you trying to go 11 people deep. One, people getting out of rhythm. And there are some players who maybe they're not college level yet, but they're young, like Carl Sheriff. Maybe he may be good, but right now it's it's too early, right? Some players just don't need to be playing right now. So it's good. I'm glad that he finally, hopefully he continues this, but he did relax it on today.
Look, it won't shock me if we come out on Thursday. I think they're next game Thursday. On Thursday, and they play 12 guys or whatever.
Right.
Everybody gets a minute. It wouldn't shock me. This comment, bench gave us all minutes, taking Jaden out of the rotation. Look, I think everybody is on this.
Everybody.
I think we'd all agree, but I think there's one thing that he has in common with the coach that it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. It just won't.
This is the 5th year now. I think we've been asking for this since his freshman year.
Yeah. Look, I mean, is it true? Yeah, absolutely. Should Jaden Hardaway be playing? No, it doesn't deserve. Is the amount of minutes he gets, the amount of possessions he gets, any of that stuff. Does he make the team worse sometimes? Absolutely. Will he continue to play? Absolutely. His defense is not good. Like, it's just not. And like, that's the reality. I think everybody sees that. But again, we're going to say this again. Penny's going to do whatever Penny wants to do. And that it means continuing to play Jaden Hardaway. So if you're upset about Jaden continuing to play, we get it. But if it were me, for your own self-interest, the betterment of your mental health, move on.
Right. Facts.
Just move on, because he's going to continue to play.
And this is year 5 of it too. Like, it's not like this ain't nothing new.
So I mean, I don't know. And that's if let's just play devil's advocate. If Jaden doesn't play, do you just play 8 guys, or do you give someone else those minutes?
You just play 8 guys. Well, kind of like you did today. You just play 8 guys, and only if your foul trouble permits, play the other guy. Especially down. I mean, this is now they gotta. I ain't gonna say they gotta win out, but they can't lose too much more, or they can't lose to anybody outside of FAU at this point, or like SMU, some game like that, in order to make the tournament. And you gotta play your best guys, like you were saying earlier. Playing your best guys is gonna help you get to the NCAA tournament at this point.
Yeah. The mighty have fallen. We were locked for 4 seed. Now we're talking about getting into the tournament. But yes, you're right. They got to continue to play. And I would say I'm with you. I think they can only probably lose 1 game at this point. And that's either to FAU or SMU. And at that point, if they lose more than that, they're got to win the conference tournament.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think that. Go ahead.
I was about to say that loss to Rice at home, that did it. That was the one. Like, I think the other losses could be forgiven, but that one at home to a losing team with a losing record.
Yep.
Yeah, that's bad for us.
D Grum's with us. Thanks for appreciate you joining, D Grum's, coming out of the Discord all the way to the live chat. All the way James minutes go down as Pierre keeps putting up good minutes. Otherwise, we don't have the bench 2-3. I mean, that's true. But you're also asking for things that sometimes don't always happen. So, but I'm with you. I still don't think the minutes I think the minutes are probably going to stay pretty consistent where they're at. That's just kind of where I think That's just how I feel. Now I could be different, and I hope I'm wrong, and I hope D. Grums is right. We get some Jonathan Pierre, and maybe you can get some more consistent bench minutes out of him. I think that's probably the word for Jonathan Pierre is more consistency you'd like to see. Don't you think?
Yep. Yeah, and really thinking about it now, Caleb Mills' injury was like probably it was much bigger. I think we thought it was pretty big, but it's become bigger than we even thought initially. And I think Jonathan Pierre's ascension is kind of helping compensate for the loss of Caleb Mills. So yeah, like you said, consistency is key. If he keeps being consistent, that's going to help Memphis go a long way.
Well, I mean, speaking of Caleb Mills, I mean that injury is so big because again, you're asking guys to do things that they weren't supposed to do just yet, right? Like Caleb Mills was supposed to do a lot of those things that Jonathan Pierre is supposed to do. Like those are that's the issue with that injury, right? It's really not the injury itself or to Caleb Mills. It's the ripple effects it has on other players. And now what they're being asked to do instead of what they were going to do, what they were brought in to do as a role player on this team. And now they're asked to do more than that. And sometimes that what they're asked to do and what they're capable of doing are two different things.
Yep, exactly. Kind of like you said earlier with the Grizzlies, when all the players get hurt, now your bottom half got to actually play, and you see that's not their role.
Yep. You find out real quick who's good and who's not. And for this Grizzlies team, as well as this Tigers team, when you have an injury like that, it pushes people to the forefront, and it makes them, it forces them to do things again that they're sometimes not equipped to do just yet. And like you mentioned, sometimes those guys in the bench may develop into larger roles in the future and maybe better in the future. But right now, they're just not ready yet. And I think that's kind of where that put the Grizzlies, just put the Tigers one man behind, if you will. And I think that's essentially what you're seeing now. Maybe this changes again. If maybe the path forward with a shorter bench, maybe you do see them continue to play better in front of teams than they have been. As we talked about earlier in the first segment, earlier with you, that's been their issue all year long, is the ability to get a lead, hold it, and just finish teams off. We've seen it so many times this season. We can't even count. Well, we could, but it's a high number. I can't count that high. You might be able to compare, but I can't. And so I think that's ultimately the issue that you've seen with this team. And hopefully with this rotation you have today, maybe that is different going forward. What do you think they have to do to continue to win going forward?
Yep. Keep this rotation short. Continue. The defensive effort has been a whole lot better these past 3 games. I don't know. Coach JJ coming back into the fold has helped with that some, but just keep that going, because defense was not being played before these last 3 games. So, that's Penny's staple is defense. So, and I think the context he said that he mentioned, hey, we need to get back to our defensive principles. We get back to that, we should be able to make the tournament. So, as long as they keep it on defense, because what happened last week, even at the Wichita State game, they struggled the whole game offensively, just making shots, but their defense kept them in the game and gave them a shot to make the comeback to save their season. So it starts on the defensive end. That's what Penny has always took pride on these last couple of years, and they're going to have to keep it up. And I think the short rotation helps with that, because just building chemistry with that in the group. Also, keeping a rhythm. When you take players out in a pinch, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, you don't get a rhythm that way, and that's the only way that they can get a rhythm, is to keep your best players on the court. So as long as they stay locked in on defense, keep their rotation short, they should be fine the rest of this season.
I couldn't agree more. We saw today, you mentioned the Wichita State game, but we saw today just on defense. I mean, that was why this lead grew as much as it was, and they were just kind of everywhere, swarming on the defensive end. The rotations were really good, really solid, and I think it speaks to your point about chemistry, about rotations, and just having guys out there that have some higher basketball IQ. And that's what really defense is about, is basketball IQ and rotations and team rotations. I think that's where a lot of guys struggle when they're playing basketball at a high level, is not necessarily one-on-one defense, but it is the rotations and the team rotations it takes to be able to have a solid defense, a cohesive defense. And I think that is what a lot of young players struggle with, and what you see a lot of times with you have, some people like Jaden Hardaway talked about, that they come into the game, they miss rotations, and I think that's the biggest issue that you see. But like you mentioned, keeping this rotation short allows you to continue to lean on guys that understand the rotations, understand where they're supposed to be and when they're supposed to be there. And I think that's the most important part. And I think that's a great point about defense and how they hang the hat on them. Because, like, again, you mentioned the Wichita State game, but that's this Tulane game today as well.
It was. That was great.
This game was won. I know we won by 20, but the game was won on defense. It's 90-78.
Yep.
I think I want to look at the team stats real quick. They had 14 turnovers, 10 points off of turnovers. Tigers had 40 points in the paint today, which was just really, really impressive. I think that the rebounds being even, whatever. I just think that, those turnovers, 14, you turn them over 14 times now. Tigers were a little high at 11, whatever. They also had their issues with turnovers. That was a lot late in the game. So I read that stat. And I don't want you to look at that stat and like they had 11 turnovers and 18 points. A lot of it was late in the game when the game was pretty much.
It was. Yeah.
So for the most part, though, turning the ball over, getting them to turn the ball over, getting points in transition, getting points in the paint, really rely on that. And then taking open 3-pointers when you can get them and having your best guys taking up 3-pointers. That's what impressed me today.
Yep. Also, the ball moving to the 3-pointers, because a lot of times they did do a lot of isolation throughout the losing streak and everything. So even David Jones, seeing him, passing it, getting to the open man a lot more, like that's you could tell they're buying in now. So that's really good to see.
Yeah, the ball movement. Someone left a comment earlier about their assist to made field goal ratio. It was 21 assists to 29 made baskets, which is great. I mean, which is really, really impressive. If you look at the Tulane, they had 12 assists on 24 made baskets, but 21 on 29 is really impressive. The ball movement was good. It didn't really stick, it didn't really stick into anybody's hands at all today, which is really impressive. But like you mentioned, David Jones, Javon Cornelly, getting those guys the ball in the right spot when they're open. And that starts with ball moving. Dribble penetration, really helpful. But realizing who the guys are on the team who can make the shots, right? Like,
right.
If you realize that the Javon Cornelly is open at cross court when you drive, that's the guy we shoot a 3-pointer.
Exactly.
That's the guy who should be shooting the 3-pointers, not Malcolm Dandridge. That's who you want. So no offense to Malcolm, he's just catching strays today. But that what I mean, like that's what you want. I mean, I think I saw that we saw a lot of that today.
Yep, exactly. So, hey, I mean, they held Tulane 38% shooting. They shot, and like I said, towards the end of the game, they were shooting 50% most of the game. They ended up at 46, but like it's end of game. That stats kind of skewed, but 21 assists and 29 made baskets. Hey, that's can't ask for better than that.
Yeah, that's as efficient as we could probably be. Last thoughts before we wrap this show up, Parrish. Any last thoughts before we get out here today?
No, nothing really. Just what we've been stating earlier. Defense, get back to that defense intensity, buying in, keep the rotation short, and keep the ball moving on offense. They should be back in the NCAA tournament, probably in that 8-9, hopefully 8-9 spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we're going to be ending the show a little shorter than Francis normally does. He does a great job, much better than I do. I promise you. I know you guys are disappointed with me. He'll be back soon. But we're going to end the show a little shorter today, only because it's Super Bowl Sunday. Everybody's got places to be, things to do. So we appreciate you guys joining the show. Super Bowl picks before we get out of here. That's a good comment. Great question. Super Bowl picks. I've already put money on the Niners. I've got some monies out there on the Niners that I need to cash at this point in my life now. I'm going with the Niners for me. I think it's a pick 'em game though, really, and honestly. It is up in the air. So what about you? What do you got?
I can't bet against Mahomes. I've done it too many times. have been paying for it. So I'm like, I'm not doing it again. I'll just go ahead take the safe pick with him.
That's fair. I got a couple parlays. I got a couple prop bets. Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown.
Oh yeah,
is a solid bet. Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes under 270 passing yards. He hasn't done it all year.
I got that too.
Got that too.
Yep.
Wrap that one up. Put those in a parlay with a money line, and you will be good. Betting against Mahomes is insane. It is insane, but this is a Tigers live post game show. So I don't want to get into betting that much. But if you are a Bluff City Media Insider, go and join our Insider. You get access to our Discord. We have a whole betting channel there. All kinds of betting advice, all kinds of unique bets there. So go join it. You won't miss out. But we will see you next time. It won't be me. Francis will be back. It'll be a much better show than it was today. Appreciate you guys joining us, leaving the comments. As always, don't forget Tigers Live is presented by Bluff City Collective. So go check out them. Make sure you donate to the collective. It is the men's basketball collective. So go donate, continue to support. We'll see you next time.